Hi everyone, we welcome you all to this week Tech Tuesday webinar on Axon and Jira integration. Today's speakers are Sachin Jain, who's a Principal Solutions Architect, and Rashmi P, who's a Solutions Architect from CSM team. Before we start the session, let's go through some of the housekeeping tips. The webinar is for 1 hour that includes 15 minutes Q&A. You can post your queries in Q&A box, which will be answered at the end of the presentation. All participants will be muted during the presentation. The session will be recorded and it will be available on our InfoSupport YouTube channel and Success Portal, where you'll be able to download the slide deck. Please feel free to submit your suggestion or feedback for the session in the post-webinar survey. The Success Portal is a micro-learning platform that offers free, unlimited learning to all the registered users. This feature-rich platform helps you learn and adopt to Informatica products better. The following are a few important links that you can go over later. This will help you in your product adoption journey with Informatica. Over to you, Sachin and Rashmi. Thank you.
Welcome all for today's session on how to integrate Axon with Jira. So agenda for today's meeting will be, first, let's understand on the overview of Axon and Jira. Secondly, we will understand how to configure the Atlassian Jira in Axon system. Then we'll go into the additional field. Then the configuration on integration with Jira with Axon Marketplace. Then we'll go for demo. So now let's understand why Jira integration with Axon was required. So what are the benefits which we can make use of it? Suppose if you consider a normal scenario where the stakeholder performs certain operation, the operation may be like editing of the certain field, updating the description, or applying the DQ rule. So all this set of operation will follow a certain workflow which is embedded internally in Axon system. So business users make use of such kind of internal mechanism to keep track of such requests. So now you may think, why do we need this integration even when we have this internal mechanism, right? So now let's consider the other scenario as a point of view from the technical user, right? So sometimes the technical user may have access to the Axon system or may not have the access to the Axon system. So now suppose if the technical user doesn't have any access to the external system, Axon system. So in this case, we can make use of the integration or the external ticketing mechanism to keep track of all the requests so that he can fulfill it or reject it. So integrating Axon with Jira will benefit such type of user where they can use this external workflow to keep track of the process from order getting assigned of them until it gets fulfilled, right? So here, the review which was processed or review which has been accepted or rejected will also get updated in Axon as well. So that is the main use case out of it. So here, in this case, right, the ticketing mechanism, the external ticketing mechanism will help both the business and the technical user to keep track of all the requests and fulfill it or reject it accordingly. So now let's consider the whole new scenario where a user creates a new system object in Axon. So now the change request system can create a new ticket to track the input and approval for the system. So when a system stakeholder participates in the workflow for that specific system object, the change request system tracks the object creation process and notifies the stakeholder. So here, the stakeholder for system can help to keep track of all such process, right? So now let's jump into the configuration on how to integrate with Axon with Jira. So what are the certain set of parameters that needs to be passed to integrate both the system, right? So first of all, user has to log in as admin user. Once he has logged in as admin user, he has to navigate to admin panel. So under admin panel, under the DG operating model section, he has to click on change request system. So as you can see, there are certain set of parameter value that needs to be filled. So first of all is the name. So name will be the user defined, right? It is the name of the change request system. Next, the server URL. The server URL will be your change request system URL. which will be given in this specific format. It may be HTTPS or HTTP, then specify the IP address, right? Once you have passed the server URL, next comes the server login username. So whatever the account which you have used to log in into the server URL, that account name should be passed or the username should be passed, right? Then the server login token. So this is the very important, which will integrate your Axon with the Jira, right? To do that, what you need to do is you need to navigate to this specific account. So to get a server login token, log in into Jira, navigate to account, settings, then click on the security and create a token. So that token value should be passed it under server login token. Next comes the status field. So if you want to update the status between the Axon and the Jira, so you need to specify it to state value, right? Enter a state value under external status field. So once you're done with that, under completed status of change request, give it as done. Then cancel status of change request, provide cancel value, and the project key. So this is a project key which should be passed based on whatever the project key which is present in your Atlassian Jira URL, right? So there will be unique project key for different type of projects. So you need to pass that project key under project key section. Next comes the issue type field. So issue type will be task. So then you need to pass the additional field which will be explained on the coming sections, right? Once you're done updating that, just save it, right? So next, we will be navigating to default change request system under DG operating model. So here, this specifies for which type of or what type of facet you want the external ticketing mechanism to be enabled. So in this specific example or in this specific scenario, I'll be explaining, like I will be setting up the external ticketing for the facet called as system, right? Once you enable it for the system, then you provide it as a enable workflow should be enabled for the corresponding system, right? Once you're done with that, save this specific change request, right? And one more thing, like once you are done enabling it, under this configure workflow approval setting, default change request system should be updated with your change request system. So whatever you have provided name under change request system should be selected in this specific section, right? So once you're done with that, save the default change request, right? Also, as you see, before saving the default change request, right, for a specific type of facet, some of the additional information that needs to be updated. The additional information like default Axon status for created object value should be updated to active or inactive. Default lifecycle for the creating object. So in my case, I have selected as in production. The user can select as per their requirement. Then comes the default change request type. Then the default change request urgency or the severity. It depends completely on the user whether he wants to select it as a medium, high, or low, right? So once you're done updating all the information, you need to save the default change request. So this is how you integrate the external ticketing mechanism, Jira, with your Axon for the data governance or the data marketplace. So here we'll go to the next slide, which explains on the, what are this additional configuration or the JSON. So where is it required, right? So where this information will pop up in your change request, right? So when you configure Axon to connect to an external change request system, the external change request like Jira might require additional fields which might not appear in Axon configuration page by default, right? So to avail such kind of parameters in the Axon page, you need to pass the specific JSON format in your default change request system, right? So these are the parameters which needs to be passed. So let's go one by one. The key right? The parameters which have been used in this JSON format. We have this key, then the display name. So key is like a unique key which needs to be passed, right? Which will be a field name in your external system. The display name, so the field name which will be shown in your Axon change request. Then the data type, the default values, like the default value which should be shown for the specific display name. Then is mandatory. Is mandatory is a Boolean value whether you want the user to enter the value or to make it mandatory, right? You can specify the Boolean value to is mandatory section. Then is hidden. So is hidden is also Boolean value. You can pass it as true or false. Same goes with the is sensitive, right? It can also be given as true or false. So once you are done, right, you're configuring, right, then you need to save that specific information under change request system. So we have already developed one example where it will showcase the key value which has been shown in the change request. So as you can see, there's a JSON property for description. Right, in this JSON, you can see a key value which is given as description, which is a unique key, right? Then comes the display name. The display name is given as description. So in this change request, you can see under external field section, you can see the description which is in the display name which shown up. So default value, I want to set it up as created from Axon. So that is why this value is got populated in here. Right, the data type is null, is mandatory is true, is hidden is false, and is sensitive is false. So here in this particular slide, you are seeing an example of change request which got created for a system, like a stakeholder done some updation. For that the reason the external ticketing got generated. So as you can see, right, the request which the order is already fulfilled. As you can see, the Axon status which it's called completed, right? Suppose if the newly requested, it was a freshly request has been thrown. So Axon status value will go to hold until the user, fulfills that specific order, right? As you can see, there are certain set of parameters which are like default parameters which show up, and these are the external field value which gets populated due to the additional information, right? Ticket number is the default one, and this is the additional field which you wanted to get populated in here, which is a description, right? So this is an example, which we have shown where a change request gets generated for a system facet, right? So now we'll jump into the next slide where we explain on how to integrate Jira with your data marketplace. To integrate Jira with the Axon marketplace, you need to log in as admin user. In my case, I have logged in as John admin, who is the admin user for Axon system. Then navigate to the data marketplace. Under data marketplace, click on settings. Settings, you will find the integration tab. Under integration tab, you will find the change request system, right? So in this mode, you need to select one of the mode, which is like I've selected automatic. Then under provider section, you need to pass the user defined value which you have created under change request system, right? So in my case, I had created Jira_Rashmi. So that's the reason I've selected Jira_Rashmi. Right? So this is how you integrate your Axon marketplace with Jira. So now there is a sample example which has been attached where a ticket, Jira ticket, which got generated for the order. So under order summary section, under external ticket, you can see a Jira ticket got generated, right? So the status is already fulfilled, right? So this is a sample example which got created, right? For a specific request order by the end user, right? So now I'll be handing it over to Sachin, where he will demo on the integration of Axon with Jira. Over to you, Sachin.
Well, thanks, Rashmi. Hi guys. So let's get into the actual demo of how Axon and Jira integrations will be done. So first I'll showcase the the admin related part of it, like how a super admin or an admin will configure the Jira details, and I'll I'll showcase one or two examples of how can we how this integration works. Okay. So I've logged into the Axon as a super admin, and then I'll go to the admin panel actually. Okay. So under DG operating model, there's a change the request system. Okay. So once we click on the change the request system, so that you can configure your the integration perspective, right? So the one which I've taken is Jira. Okay. So user has to provide the details about the the Jira, that is the service URL, the user login details, the token which gets generated in the user can generate once you log into the Jira, and then he has the security related stuff, and then token can be generated. Same thing has to be copied here, and this is the status fields, right? When it is the workflow part is done in the Jira, so that it's completed or it is cancelled. Okay. So, and this is the project key. So when you create a project in Jira, so that it has the key, the same thing has to be provided here. Okay. And the tasks, the issue type is a task which we created at the additional fields. Okay. These additional fields, make sure that those fields which are available in the Jira side, and then you can provide those details by default here actually. Okay. So this is not a mandatory stuff. So if you want to add it, you can add some more details. And this is where the format of it actually. Now we are adding description, and then we have provided a default value for that. Okay. So once you are, once you have created, the Jira details, right? The change request systems, you can go to default change request and then select say system. Okay, and I have configured this one, so you will be given the change request systems you have created, out of which I have selected the one which I have created. Okay, and it provides you the additional fields which is anyway provided at the change request system. The rest of the things remains as it is actually. Okay. This is mandatory that you need to add at the facet level. Okay. Okay. So now let's go to the since we have configured at the system facet level. Okay. So let's try to create a change request. Okay. Enterprise data catalog is not required. Okay. So yeah. So I do have a system which is already on board, and I'll just select one of the system. Okay. The user can make some sort of changes so that it triggers, right? So let's try to create raise a change request. Okay. So Jira integration system. That's it. Okay. So request for change, and I'll just copy paste. I'm just selecting the change request system. Okay. Since I'm creating a fresh here, so that's the reason I'm selecting this one. Otherwise, if you make any sort of changes, it automatically picks up these things. Okay. So description is added, the default one which we have provided. Okay. So I'll just make save and close. Change request is creating. Okay. So if you could see ticket number AJ6 got created. This is at the Jira ticket actually. Okay. And if you could see the status as pending start, right? So let me click on this one. Okay. So since I already logged into the Jira system, so it showcases the informations here actually, right? AJ6 which is created right now. Okay. You can have your own flow here. Okay. Let me assign it to this one. Okay. And okay. So once the ticket is created here at the Jira, you can have your own flow. Okay. So by default, what we have created, the flow is all about this one. Okay. Create, to do, and then any status like in progress, and then finally which we are done actually. Okay, and the user can, once it creates, it will be into the state, and then he can move it to in progress, and then finally done is the complete one actually. Okay, so in this way, user can create their own flow based on if there is any approvals required or anything, so that they can create their own flow and then attach to this project event, right? Okay. So and you can put same thing, comment saying that approach and then save. Okay. So now what I'll do is I'll say since this is the flow, I'll mark it as done. Okay. So once I'm done, so it says the Jira is completed. Okay. And this is the description which you could see from Axon. I mean, additional field which we added. The same thing is displayed here. Okay. So mark it as done. Okay. So it means from the Jira point of view, the ticket is completed. Any technical stuff that he will do, and then he will say done. Right. So once it's done, so let's stay on the pending step, right? So let's refresh this one to see the status of it actually. Right. The Axon status for this request is completed. Right. So in this way, even if if we go to the system level and if a user makes some sort of changes to the system, okay, right, that could be any description or anything he makes changes, right? So it triggers a change request, okay, with a Jira ticket, okay, and a respective person will get notification, and then he will do the needful for that, right? So this is all on the at the governance level, and when we added a facet, the change request system, Jira is integrated with Axon, and this is how the flow looks like, okay, at the governance level, okay. Okay, now so I showcased Jira integration for the the governance level, and also we can have that marketplace level also. Okay, so let me log in as a super admin. Let's go to the marketplace. Okay, so now there's a setting. So an admin or a super admin can do this sort of activity, and the integration part. Okay, so we do have a automatic, and then you can select the either the Jira or the one which you are liking it, right? So now I've selected the Jira one for this demo activity. Okay, so now let me log in as a consumer actually. Okay, so let's say I'll be logging in as a consumer who requests for specific data set or a report, right? So once he logs in as a Mia Jackson logs in, right? So they consider that he knows where he wants to, which category he wants to look at it actually. Okay. So and the orders, okay. So let's select the orders which he is looking for. Okay, he will look at the details, who is the owner, who is the technical owner of it, and then delivery mechanism, everything, right? So and he puts a request actually, right? There is a checkout request. Okay, so this is the specification. Need order details. Order details for business purpose. Okay, so some information you will put it actually. Okay, in the delivery targets and the option. If he has any sort of delivery request, he can put it over there actually. Okay, his details, and he will say submit order. Okay, once he agrees for the default policy, and then he will say submit order, right? So now, if you could see, once the order is successfully submitted, an order is generated. Okay, and these are all the details of it actually, right? External ticket is generated. and that is AJ7. Okay, so these are all the details which is generated now. Okay, let me log out. Okay, so the ticket is generated. Okay. Let me log in as an admin or the owner of that particular one, right? So he will get a notification also. Okay. So the tasks, right? So this is the one which need order details for the business purpose, right? So once he selects here, right, he could see the details. Okay. So external ticket is generated with these details, and then who has requested all this stuff. Suppose if he says, right, say approval, okay, and he makes, approved, right? The next person is the technical owner, okay, so and a notification will go to that particular person, right? So let me log in as a Sachin, who is a technical owner of it actually, okay? So now a technical owner is logging in, okay? So, and then he will also has, the details of it actually. So let's go to the workflow, right? Workflow order is ready for fulfillment actually, right? So here also I can take it out, right? So the details have come to his, tasks. Okay. So now he is the person who is fulfilling it actually. Okay. So now, he will select the external ticket. Okay, so this is what the ticket. Okay, so assigned to me, and then as I showcase that the ticket is generated here, and once he does the fulfillment at the technical side of it actually. Okay, and then what he does is he will say done. Okay, so once he updates the information here at the Jira level. Okay, same thing gets updated here also, and then finally he will say and then he will come here and then he will say have provided the details, right? So and then say fulfill. Okay, the status, you could see the external ticket status, and this is what the description which is created from the Axon you could see, right? So now let me log out. Let me log in as a the requester. Okay. So now this guy is the one who has requested it actually, and even he could see the notification data access order is fulfilled, right? So we can go to that particular order from here itself. Okay, and then you could see it is available, right? So this information, and then even you could see the external ticket information, whatever is done it actually, right? So okay, so this is all about on the integration perspective, even at the governance level as well as at the marketplace level. Okay, thanks guys. Thanks for the webinar.
Hi all, we have reached the Q&A part. Please post your questions so Rashmi and Sachin can answer.
I think there are a couple of questions already. I think probably I'll go through one by one now. Can we integrate to Remedy ticketing system? It was the question. So it is not actually. So currently we do support ServiceNow and Jira integration with Axon. Okay. So, and the other question is all about the same process will be available in our cloud data governance and catalog. Yeah. So we do have plans, okay, but it's all like, how the product management take it up actually, so that we have to wait for it. But otherwise, we are exposing REST APIs to integrate with any other third-party systems, okay. So soon we will be coming up with that one. So we'll keep you posted on that. Okay. So there is one question. will there be an email generated with the ticket information apart from the notification at Axon end? Exactly. So there will be a email with the Jira ticket information will be sent to that particular email as a notification, and also you will see the notification in Axon also. Okay. Any other questions? There is one question. What are all the tech tracking tools are available for Axon, from Axon integration, and what are in pipeline? So as of now, ServiceNow and Jira are available for the Axon integration. Okay. So a seamless integration between the ServiceNow and Jira is available. Pipeline, I would say it's very hard to comment on that actually. Okay. As of now, if we get more requests on any other ticketing system, so probably we can track it actually. Okay. So as of now, there is no plan for any other ticketing system for the integration purpose. Any more questions?
Thank you for this amazing session, Sachin and Rashmi. All the Tech Tuesday webinar will be available on Success Button under the Resources tab. Today's webinar will be available tomorrow, where you can view the recording and also download the slide deck. Please fill in the survey as your feedback is important to us. And with that, we will end today's webinar. Thank you all for attending.
Arshita, there was one question, so can you wait for a minute?
Yes. Yes, go ahead, sir. Yes.
I think India's, we are at 7.2.2, so I think probably I need, the complete question is not shared with us. Is that the question about which version is this available? Yeah, so the feature is available in the version 7.3, and in yes, you're right. You need to upgrade it to 7.3 from 7.2.2. Okay. The question is all about on which version the feature is available. Okay. The integration with Jira. Okay. Any other, the last and final question?
All right, we will end the webinar. Thank you all for attending.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, everyone.